Welcome back to the channel, guys. On this video I'm going to work on the E36. This car is equipped with the M52 B28 engine, which stock make about 190 to the crank. This is not bad, but not enough for this chassis. There is a lot of ways you can make some power out of this engine. Some basic bolt-ons and a tune can nail you down 240, 260, which is great, but I decided to do something different. That's why you see this huge box on the side with a lot of parts in it, and there's some parts laying down on the table. And this is the stage 2 Active Autowerke Supercharger kit, and with this kit I should be able to make about 350, 360 to the crank, which is pretty good, but there's a downside, and it's the price point. This kit cost about $12,000, which is theoretically probably 3 times the value of this car. So it's not for everybody. I mean, I just pulled the trigger since I never own a supercharged car, and I'm doing this only for the experience. Otherwise, I can put together a turbo kit and make probably 500-600 horsepower easily for probably half the price, or I can swap S54 engine into this chassis for maybe half the price of this kit. But I never own a supercharged jet car, and that's gonna be a first time experience for me, so I pulled the trigger. Alright, let's see what is included in the kit. The supercharger, which is the main thing, some pulleys, brackets, a big green air filter, the cables to download the DME file, bigger injectors, colder spark plugs, some wires, bigger fuel pump, some badges if you're into these kind of things, bigger map, the oil cooler for the supercharger out the lines. This is the cooler, and you can see how it's connected here. It does come with the oil, which is a good thing. And here we have the intercooler valve, some bracket. This is for the supercharger, actually, to hold the supercharger in place. The intercooler piping. This is the recirculating pipe for the valve. And I think we have some more brackets which are for the intercooler, if I'm not mistaken. And here is the intercooler, which is very heavy and appear to be good quality. First thing which I'm going to do is read the DME. There's a package which includes the OBD2 cable. We're going to use it to read the file and send it to Active Autowerke. You need to download and install the Simon 2 software. In the package we also have the OBD1 connector, which is used to flash the file. But first, let's download and send the file to Active Autowerke. You need to make sure that your battery is fully charged and use something for a backup. I'm using this power supply, which can hold the battery steady to 13.4 volts. It's specially designed for flashing and reading ECUs. You can use some battery charger. It's gonna do pretty much the same thing, because you don't wanna your voltage to drop below 12 volts, otherwise you can break your ECU. Let's read the DME. This is the Simon 2 software, and it does let you know what you have to do. It says that you need to switch to ignition number 2, but actually you can see that it says it's ready, but I'm gonna switch it to ignition 2 anyway. And now just hit next, and you have to fill up all this information on the left, and then press read DME, and you can see that it's reading. It will take a few minutes, few more seconds, and it's ready. And now it will ask you to save it, and send it to Active Autowerke. Let's keep moving forward with the installation. First, I'm going to remove the strut bar. Next on the list is the duct for the alternator, and this duct cover. And then I need to remove the air filter with the boot. And I still need to take off one more clamp here on the bottom. And what is next after this is the actual fan. I need to take it off. There we go. I need to get my hands on the oil separator, which is down there. Basically this pipe needs to be removed and changed with a different one, but let's see what is inside the kit. Some plug and some oil separator, I don't know, let's find out. There is some instruction here which you can follow. But first let me take off this, and I'm thinking about taking off also the front bumper, since I do have the stage 2, which include the intercooler, and I will need to take it off anyway. But if you're with stage 1, you can just take off this top cover and you will be fine. Taking off the front bumper is pretty easy. It's held only by 4 nuts up here in the front and few screws to the inner fender liner. Mine were broken, but usually there will be a few screws here and maybe some on the bottom, but I don't have any since I took off this front cover a long time ago. And here it is, the oil separator, which I need to cap off with this thing. Basically install this thing on the side, and there is one cap for the intake manifold. I gotta insert this to the intake manifold. Basically it's gonna block it off. And when we come here, I have a bunch of vacuum lines which I need to redo. Like for example, this one is pretty old and brittle. I need to replace it, and I'm going to delete my vacuum pump container for the exhaust valve, because there is a flapper on the exhaust valve which I no longer have. So I'm going to throw this away, and this is not connected here actually. And this here, this line is for the fuel pressure regulator, which I need to connect straight to here and use a T connector to be able to connect it to the blower valve. But let me redo the lines first, and I'm going to show you exactly how it's gonna be. I end up replacing most of the vacuum lines, and as you can see, the line with the check valve, it doesn't have a T connector anymore. It does go straight to the intake manifold, and this is because I deleted the vacuum container for the exhaust valve. But now the other line does have a T connector. This is the line for the fuel pressure regulator. This hard plastic line down there, it goes straight to the fuel pressure regulator. I end up splitting from it, and this end is gonna go to the blower valves. Maybe later I'm gonna install one more T connector for my boost gauge, but we'll see. I'm not quite sure on this. What I gotta do next is basically move this purge valve somewhere up here. I gotta cut 2.5 inches from the hose, and then install this one-way check valve, which does need to go like this. So basically this side need to go to the intake manifold. If you flip it the other way around, it's gonna be no, because it's gonna send pressure to the gas tank. So you gotta be careful installing this one, just don't mess it up. And I also need to install the oil separator. It's already blocked off. I gotta put it back on place. The purge valve is relocated. It didn't turn out that great, but I had to improvise since I didn't have a bracket, so I used some spare bracket which I found. And I don't like the routing of the lines. You see how crappy it looks, but this is what they gave me, so it's gonna be like this for now. And this vacuum line does need to go to the purge valve, on the T fitting on the purge valve, You see this lighting down there, so basically it's connected right over here. And I also zip tie the vacuum lines a little bit so they don't look that bad. And now I can keep moving forward, and what I'm thinking to do is install the front mount intercooler, but for this I will need to trim off the shock mount a little bit here and the other one also, which is something I don't like, but it has to be done. The front mount intercooler is mounted and the fitment is pretty good. I also end up mounting the oil core, but there is a little bit of issue with it. It does hit the kidney grill right over here on this edge, so most likely I will have to cut off the edge or bend this bracket, because once I mount back the kidney grill it does hit it. So we'll see what I'm gonna do with it. And now let's move forward to the piping, where the things are getting a little bit out of control. So this pipe, it does go from here down here, and you can see how much the pipe is hanging. And by my understanding, this pipe does need to move forward, but there is no way to do this since this pipe is too long. So I'm thinking about cutting it somewhere here. This way this pipe will move forward and I'll be able to connect it to the next section, which is this 90. And from this 90 it does go up to the throttle body, this pipe here, and you see the flange for the blow valves. Where I have another problem here is this chase bay high pressure power steering line. It's kind of on the way, because once I mount the valve, it will need to recirculate back to the air filter, and this thing is going the way, so I'll have to buy a banjo fitting here and redo the line. I will do a custom line, so we'll see how this thing is gonna turn out. And this pipe does go up to the top, you see, from here, bam, to the throttle body. And then we have the second outlet of the intercooler, the outlet actually, or whatever. And so the piping goes from here up to the supercharger. So I think I won't have any issues with it. We'll see once I mount the bracket and the supercharger, but first I'm thinking about fixing this piping, like the issue with the fitment here, and then I will mount the bracket. But I'm not really happy with this, since I paid way too much money and I wasn't thinking about playing with the intercooler piping, doing my own custom things. So I was thinking it's gonna be just bolt on, a few minutes and I'm done. But you see how much time I need to invest to make this thing work. I understand that the fitment is very tight, but they messed up here for some reason, because this used to be a complete pipe before and now it's not. And I try pretty much everything to make it work, but still no good. You see how much this thing is hanging down, and I can't do anything about it. I mean, it does hit this, so if I move it forward I think I will be fine. Now the fitment is way better than before. I ended up cutting also in the 90 pipe, since it was a little bit too long, and you can see that the pipe is not hanging anymore. So let me take it off and show you how much I cut it off. Actually, I can show you right here. So I took off that much from the 90 and that much from the other one. Not a lot, but enough for a perfect fitment. I'm quite happy how it's turning out. Now the only thing left is to do a new bit. Let me take off the pipe and I'll show you. You can see that there is no bead anymore, so I gotta make a new one, a new lip. I have the tool, so it's not gonna be that much difficult. Actually, these pipes are very thick. Hopefully the tool will be strong enough to make the lip. This is the bit roller tool. Pretty simple. I bought this tool a long time ago when they were kinda expensive. Now you can find them for 40-50 bucks, but they do pretty good job. You can see the bit which I just made, and like I said, these intercooler pipes are very thick, so it's not that easy to make a bit. And here is the other one. On this one maybe I'll do a few more passes. We'll see. I don't like that these intercooler pipes are coated, powder coated, since you can see how this paint is chipping off. Even here, this is the original bit, and still this thing is chipping off. This was powder coated after the bit, so you can see that this is not a really good idea to powder coat intercooler pipes, and I'm worried that the whole thing will start chipping off and it will look like shit, but it is what it is. Now I'm just going to clean up here the pipe a little bit with a file, since this thing is like I'm rolling it like this, and you can see how close is to the end, so it's kinda dragging on the pipe, so I have to file it a little bit, but it's all good. This tool is really good if you have to do something like this. Let me show you the bits again on better lighting and angle. So this is the original bit, and here is the bit I did. I think that it turned out pretty good. You see how deep it is here from inside, and the original one, so pretty much the same. And here is the other one. And this is the original bit. I don't like that the paint is chipping here, but I really don't want to clean it up. It's gonna take forever. I think I'll be fine like this. We'll take our chances. And this is my chase bay high pressure power steering line, which I was thinking about to replace with custom line, but then I decided maybe it's better just to buy a OEM one. Actually, this one is aftermarket one, some crappy brand, but I think it will do the job, so we'll see. I'm done with all the power steering lines. With this supercharger kit, it's best to use the OEM high pressure line for the power steering. And when we go on the bottom, there is plenty of clearance now. I had to bend this line a little bit. I used my pry bar and gently pray on it, and now this pipe is closer to the power steering pump. You can see how close it is to the power steering pump. It's still not touching the belt or anything. There's still plenty of clearance between the belt and the hose. So now we can keep moving forward with the intercooler piping. I'm done with the cold side of the intercooler piping, and the fitment is very tight. You can see that I end up putting a piece of rubber here and over here, since this pipe was touching on this side very slightly, but once I start driving, the engine will tilt like this a little bit, and it will hit the pipe and you will be able to hear it. I don't know how this thing is gonna work out, but I'm giving it a shot. I also connected the idle valve hose with this side, and here the fitment is also very tight. I don't know if you can see, but the throttle cable and the hose are kind of close to each other. I did everything I can to make it further apart. Here the pipe is touching a little bit, and that's because I put this piece of rubber. It wasn't touching, but that's not a big deal since the engine will tilt and this thing is together as construction, so it won't be a big issue. I hope so, we'll see. And the valve is mounted also. I had to take off the sway bar and to be able to mount the valve. Actually, I took off the pipe, mount the valve, and then I put it as a whole piece, and you can see how close the valve is to the frame. That's why I end up putting the rubber piece here. This way it will limit the pipe from going up and it won't hit it. And the rest of the piping. Now I have to keep moving forward, and I'm going to take off the belts and install the supercharger. That's the next step. Taking off the belts, it's very simple. I already took off the AC belt, and now I'm taking off the accessory belt, which is pretty straightforward. The blower and the bracket are installed. This was the easiest thing so far. To mount the bracket, you need to take off the two alternator bolts. You have one on the top and one on the bottom, and then install the bracket with the new bolts which are provided in the kit. They are Allen bolts like this one. Then install the bottom pulley, the top pulley, and finally is the blower, which is held by 4 Allen bolts. Everything is torqued down by hand. This way you're not risking of stripping down the bolts or the threads. The actual torque is 8 foot-pounds and 15 or 18 for the alternator. I also installed the compensation bracket, which is mounted to the oil filter housing. You see this black piece with the extension, which is going up to the inlet of the supercharger. This compensation bracket serves the purpose of compensating for unevenness of the alternator casting, since if this casting is not perfectly straight, once you mount the bracket there will be some unevenness, and let's say the pulleys are gonna be slightly offset, and with this bracket you're gonna apply some pressure to this side of the supercharger and will align all the pulleys and the belt won't squeal, but it might be good. We'll see. The next thing which I gotta do is install this tensioner for the belt. They provide you a new one, since the old one it's supposed to be the one with the shock, but mine is the same as this one. I guess some of the E36 comes with it depends from the year, it comes with the shock, but mine is the same as this one, so I'm just going to use the new one since it's new, but I think I can use the old one. They also give you this Allen bolt for the power steering pump, but I don't need it since my power steering pump is different than the most of the E36s. But usually you need to replace this bolt here if you have the different kind of power steering pump. I forgot what was it, but you need to replace it, since if you don't, it will hit the belt. Next I need to install the belt. This is the part number. I'm making this for future reference. Putting the belt was really difficult. I was thinking it's gonna be a 1-minute job, but it took me a while, since this belt, it appears to be too small, or I don't know, or because there are too many pulleys. I checked and it's the correct size, but you see what I had to do. I used one of my old timing belts. This way the tensioner can stay open out of the way, and it's not fun. It wasn't fun, but somehow I managed to put it on. I'm guessing because there are too many pulleys. Anyway, let's hope nothing is gonna break. Moving to the hot side of the intercooler piping, it starts with a 90 coupler, which they forgot to include in the kit. They gave me an extra straight coupler for some reason. Good thing I had an extra 90 laying around, but I don't like the quality of it, so I ended up buying a heavy duty one. It's a little bit better than the one I put on. Then we continue the intercooler piping, which does go down, and it connects to the intercooler with this straight coupler, which I also end up buying, since the one which was included in the kit was kinda too short, since you can see how much of a gap there is between the pipe and the intercooler, and there is a little bit of bend. You can see how this coupler is deformed. Pretty much that's much how it's left between the pipe and the intercooler. And how I'm going to fix this is with the leftover piece from the cold side of the intercooler piping. You remember I cut off a slight piece of the intercooler piping, and what I end up doing is making a new bit, you can see, and I'm going to put it right here and use one clamp on the middle. So I'm gonna have a clamp here, here, and one on the middle, and I think this is gonna fix this issue. I forgot to mention that I had to cut off that much of the 90 copper to be able to fit it. Not a lot, but it must be done. This is how it turned out, and there is a little bit of clearance between the both pipes, almost nothing. And when we go on the top, there is plenty of clearance, so we are all good here. I also end up moving this coolant hose up here, since originally was held by two zip ties, one here and one over here. So I made one zip tie from both of them, kind of custom made it, and you can see this hose is not going anywhere. Next thing on the list is the lubrication system for the supercharger. I need to follow this diagram and connect all these lines, but first I need to mount the oil canister, which is located up here next to the AC dryer. And you see this black bracket and the yellow screw. Basically I had to take off the original screw which was holding the AC dryer and install the bracket with the yellow screw, and the canister will sit like this. You see this long bolt. I need to tighten this bolt to the thread on the bracket, so something like this. I'm pretty much done with the routing of the oil lines, so let me show you how I did them. First I'm gonna start with the feed line, but let's start from the other side, the canister side. So the feed line is the one on the bottom, so when we go underneath we can see the bottom side, and it does say feed. The line starts from here, then we go under the headlight and we keep moving, and you can see that the line, it does go under the oil core, and I zip tied the line because we have two holes here. So basically I zip tied the line here and here, and then we keep moving, and you can see that the line, it does go through this hole And when we go on the other side, we have the oil filter, which I zip tied, and I also used one old coupler, cut it in half and put it around the oil filter. This way you can see the oil filter is pretty secure and is not going anywhere. Then is the pump, and you can see how this line is looping around. And I also used, let me show you what I used, a magnet with a zip tie. This way I can move this around, and it does go to here. And for the outlet, the line starts from here, is going under the supercharger, so this line here, and I zip tie it to the big zip tie which is holding the oil filter, and then it does go through this hole and to the oil cooler. But the lines for the oil cooler are way too long. I guess they're not specifically made for E36, they are universal. So I'm going to cut the line and recrimp it. Same thing for the other side. So this line starts from here and just go to the bottom, basically the same route as the feed line, you see, and just go through here and up to here. So I'm going to cut these two lines, recrimp them and connect them to the oil cooler. And this is the final look after cutting and recrimping the lines. The only thing which is bothering me are the clamps. This is the best which I had laying around, so I hope that I won't be able to see these clamps. Otherwise I have to find another one, maybe black clamps, we'll see. So what's next? I gotta put the pipe, the air filter, the MAF sensor, and then we're moving to the injectors, fuel pump, reflash, and we're gonna start the car after this. The air intake pipe is installed and the fitment is alright. Since this is a new configuration, now the MAF is located here on the bottom, and I had to extend the wire harness for the MAF. Originally the MAF is located up here on the top, so what I did, I cut it and extended with the new wires. I ran it through here down to the MAF. You have to use the wires which are included in the kit since they have some kind of resistors. And I also installed the recirculation hose for the valve. And this hose actually is very flexible and easy to work with. You can see the fitment is very tight, but I think it's spot on. And here on the bottom we have the air filter. I also relocated this form to the left. Here I don't know if it's gonna be on the way on something. Once I install the bumper, we will see. I think it will be alright, but we will see. I'm not quite sure on this. This one is moved slightly to the right. Very tight fit, but you can see. And I also relocated my siren for the alarm, which is up here now, since previously was down there at this location where the oil reservoir for the supercharger is. It's time to prime the supercharger. Top of the reservoir with some SX150 fluid, then come to the other side where the pump is. You see this pump? I'm gonna use the extension to pump it, crack loose the inlet side, so this bunch ball crack it loose. I already primed it, that's why you see some blue fluid. You gotta pump it until you see some blue fluid coming out. This way you're gonna prime the supercharger and also get rid of all the air in the system. So you see, once I start pumping, you see how some fluid is. Let me see, this thing is gonna focus. You see, That means I'm primed and ready to go. Next thing on the list are the injectors and the spark plugs. To take them off is pretty simple, just two. And the new injectors. It was pretty straightforward installation, nothing too difficult. The only trouble you may have is with the last one, but you can take off this box and it's gonna be a lot easier. And here is one of the old ones. I'm capping down the new spark plugs to around 25. I don't know if this is gonna be too much, but we're gonna give it a shot. The only thing left to install is the fuel pump, but I'm going to do this later, since first I'm going to flush the ECU with the new file and then take the car outside and replace the pump. So to flush the new file you need to use this port, because if you use the one under the dash you're still gonna flush the ECU, but you won't do anything. Pretty much it's gonna say it's all done, but the file won't be installed. So the proper way is to flush it from here, and you can see that it's already found the ECU. So now I just need to click next, and next again, and I gotta load the file. Quickly load the file, and now I'm not quite sure which one I should choose. I think it's a flash performance tune. Okay, let's try this one. Should be this one. It's gonna ask you a few questions and you gotta make sure you're using some chargers like this one, and then say yes, and authorization success. And right now it's upgrading, and I'll find out for sure if the flash went through, since this car was automatic, and when I check the errors, if it's still showing that it's missing the computer for the automatic transmission, that means the flash didn't went through. But if it's all clear, that means the new file is installed. And a few more percent, and you can see that it says please keep the vehicle off, then 10 seconds, keep back on, blah blah blah. Okay, let's do this. Oh, they give you 10 seconds. Okay. First I have to do this and then turn on the key. Press the OK button. I think we should be ready to start the car. And from this program I also can check for codes, and you can see the only code I have is check engine light. So the flash went through. The first time when I tried out, it says the EGS module is missing, so I cleared the codes, and now this code is not showing, which means the tune went through. Let's hope, let's pray. Alright, the first startup. Let's see what's gonna happen. stop the car and check just for the leaks, just to make sure there are no leaks. But so far, it sounds good. Just to make sure there are no leaks, because I installed the new injectors and I don't want to take any chances. So far, it's running smooth, and I can see some bubbles here, so I'm guessing this thing is bleeding the system, maybe? I don't know. I took her for a spin around the block and it was running very smooth. I think it's even better than before, since you can see my idle is normal, because usually by this time it's gonna be dropped down around half, like 500, 400. So if I fix this issue, that's gonna be great. The fuel pump is out, and now I have to measure the distance from here to the filter. So for the new fuel pump, I have to cut this plastic piece. This way I can use two clamps, hold the fuel pump, one on the bottom and one on the top. And for the connector, I'm going to use the one which came with the kit, but you can see that the factory pump have this spade terminals which doesn't fit in this connector, but I have the right one, so I'm going to crimp this connector here and use the factory connector for this pump, for the 255, and it's gonna be perfect. The new terminals are already crimped, and I already insert the red one, and it does fit perfect, and that's it. I think I am ready to install the pump. This is how it turned out. Let's hope that I didn't mess up anything. I think the filter should be pointing in this direction. Should be. We'll find out in a second. And when you're installing the fuel pump, make sure this line is lining up with this. And now I'm going to quickly start the car, make sure there are no leaks, and I think I'm done, ready to start driving. After a little over 100 miles, the car is down because one of my fuel lines started leaking. I think it's the feed line, the one on the bottom. The fuel lines which are going to the fuel rail, they have a quick connector, and it started leaking. So basically this one which was on the bottom started leaking from here, and there is O-ring inside. So I have to buy a brand new one, since there is no other way around. Actually there is, you can cut off this line and buy this connector and splice it, but I didn't want to do this. This is the cheapest option, to cut it and splice it, but I don't want to do this, so I bought two brand new lines. Since I'm replacing one of them, I'm just gonna replace both of them to be safe. These lines are over 200,000 miles, so it's about time to be replaced, and I'm just gonna put them on, and hopefully there are no more leaks. So far I don't have any issues with this supercharger kit. You can see the car is running pretty smooth, basically the same way as before, just with a little bit more kick. The only complaint I have is that I lost a little bit of low end power, so I do need to be really high in the RPMs to feel this supercharged power. Most of the power does come around 5,000 RPM, which is not really good, since for city driving I'm not gonna drive like a lunatic. Oh wait, got confused. And you can see, oh, here is really dirty, but let me show you. This car is equipped with a 293 diff. That's the biggest issue actually. I'm gonna do a quick pull here. Just give me a second since I'm driving. You can see that there is plenty of power past 5,000 RPM, but it's kind of dead right around 3,000 RPM. You can see the response is not that great. This is a third gear, but I'm planning to switch this rear diff, since this is the most economic rear diff, 293. I bought 323. Smell like something is burning. Hopefully I didn't. That's not good. Oh, could be for me. I gotta pull over somewhere.
there are two main reasons. First, the most obvious one, the price point. This kit is way too expensive. You can do so much more with your car with this money. The second thing is the supercharger will rob you from low-end power. You can see this is a 4th gear actually, but still the response is very poor comparing to what it used to be. I will need to switch my rear diff, since currently the car is equipped with a 293 rear diff, and this makes the gears really long. But if I switch it to 323, it will make my gears shorter, so I will have more response at the low end power. So hopefully this will fix this main issue which I'm having. Kinda don't like the response at the low RPMs. There is plenty of response, like plenty of power on the top end, but still I kinda like having low end power comparing to top end. And if you really want to invest that much money, the positive thing is that the installation is pretty much straightforward. I had to do a few modifications to the intercooler pipings, which wasn't something which I was expecting, since the price is way too high for me to do something like this. But still, you can do it yourself, it's not a big deal. The second thing, the tune. You won't have any issues with the tune, since you can see the car does run pretty smooth. You're just gonna send your file, they're gonna send you the new file, upload it to the car, and be done with it. Nothing difficult. This is a huge plus. Otherwise, you gotta find a tuner. Let's say, for example, you're gonna turbocharge your car, you gotta find some kind of tuner, and you'll have to tune it, and if he's good, blah blah blah. I mean, it's may take forever. But this was the same day return, and I was able to start the car right away. So that's gonna be it, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.